Hey guys, tonight we step into the dusty streets of ancient Thebes, where the sun sinks low, painting the Nile's ripples gold and casting long shadows over mud brick homes. You're trudging through this bustling city, circa 2000 BCE, where merchants hawk linen and barley, and the air smells of baked earth and distant cook fires. Imagine, no deadbolts, no padlocks, just flimsy reed mats draped over doorways. Your valuables, grain, pottery, maybe a copper bracelet, are practically begging to be snatched. Without a way to secure your home, you probably won't survive this chaotic world of roving bandits and mosey neighbors. But something's stirring in Thebes tonight, a quiet revolution that'll change how humans protect what's theirs. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're listening from as we dive into this ancient tale. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing outside a sturdy stone house, its walls cool against the desert heat. The family inside, a potter, his wife, and two kids, hustle to secure their home as night creeps in. You notice the doorway, a heavy wooden slab, rough-hewn, propped against the frame. No lock, just a rope tied loosely to keep it shut. It's flimsy, and you can't help but smirk. Good luck keeping out a determined thief or even a stray dog. But this family's got a spark of ingenuity. The potter, let's call him Amun, has been muttering about a fix. He's tired of waking to find his grain sacks lighter or his tools missing. You lean closer, catching the faint clink of tools from inside. Amun's working on something new, something that'll make history. This is where it all begins. The world's first door lock, born in ancient Egypt around 2000 BCE. Historians peg this as the moment humans figured out how to secure their homes with more than hope and a prayer. The design is simple but genius. A wooden bolt with pins that slot into a fixed frame, only released by a matching key. You're watching Amun carve this contraption, his hands steady despite the flickering oil lamp. The lock's clunky, nothing like your sleek deadbolt, but it's a game changer. No more sleepless nights worrying about intruders. A quirky tidbit, some early locks were so big the key weighed as much as a small child. Imagine lugging that to the market. Historians still argue whether these locks were widespread or just for the elite, since stone houses like Amun's weren't exactly common. You follow Amun as he tests his creation. The wooden door creaks as he slides the bolt, dropping pins into carved slots. He lifts a crude key, a flat stick with pegs, and slots it in. Click. The bolt shifts, and the door's secure. You can almost feel the relief washing over him. His wife, hovering nearby, nods approvingly, though she jokes about needing a stronger arm to carry that key. You grin, ancient couples bickering over home improvements. Some things never change. But this lock isn't just about safety, it's about trust. Before locks, you'd have to rely on neighbors or sheer luck to keep your stuff safe. Now, Amun's family can sleep soundly, their grain and tools guarded by wood and wit. As you linger in Thebes, the city's rhythm shifts. Torches flicker along the streets, and the Nile's gentle lapping mixes with distant laughter. You wonder how this invention will ripple outward. Will every home in Thebes get a lock? Will bandage just get craftier? For now, Amun's creation is a small victory, a step toward a world where you can close your door and know it'll stay that way. You glance at the starry sky, feeling the weight of history settling in. This is just the start, and you're ready to see where this lock leads next.
You're back in Thebes, the air thick with the scent of sawdust and Nile mud, as you peer into Amun's workshop. The flickering oil lamp casts shadows on the walls, dancing over his tools, chisels, mallets, and a pile of shaved wood curls. Amun, the potter-turned-inventor, is hunched over his latest project, that wooden pin lock you saw him test last night. His hands move with purpose, carving grooves into a cedar boat, his brow furrowed like he's solving a puzzle for the gods. You can't help but admire the guy. He's not just making a lock, he's crafting peace of mind. This is the moment where a simple idea, securing a door, becomes a reality that'll outlast empires. Amun's lock is a marvel for 2000 BCE, a wooden bolt with a series of pins that drop in the holes, locking the door tight. The key, a flat stick with pegs, lifts those pins to slide the bolt free. It's clunky, sure, but it's the first true lock in history, a fact historians nod to when they trace the roots of modern security. You watch them sand the key's edges, muttering about getting the pegs just right. A quirky detail pops up. Some of these early keys were carved with decorative flourishes, like tiny lotus flowers, as if to say, my lock's secure and stylish. You smirk. Ancient bling for a practical tool. Historians still argue whether these locks were mass-produced or custom jobs for wealthy families, since crafting one took hours of skilled labor. You lean closer, noticing the sweat on Amun's brow. His wife Merritt pokes her head in, teasing him about spending more time with his wood than with her. You chuckle. Domestic size hasn't changed in 4 millennia. But her presence underscores why this lock matters. With it, Merritt can guard their home when Amun's at the market, bartering pots for barmy. Before this, she'd have to stay home or risk losing everything. The lock's not just a gadget, it's freedom for her, a chance to step out without fear. You imagine her slipping that hefty key into a linen pouch, striding confidently through Thieves' dusty streets. The workshop hums with quiet focus. Amun tests the lock again, sliding the bolt into the door frame's grooves. The pins drop with a satisfying thud, and he grins, holding up the key like a trophy. You can almost hear his thoughts, this works, this changes everything. But it's not perfect. The wood's prone to warping in the desert heat, and a clever thief might snap the pins with a well-aimed rock. You wince, picturing Amun's frustration if that happens. Still, this is a leap forward. Other craftsmen and thieves are starting to whisper about his design, and you catch a neighbor peering curiously through the doorway. Word spreading, and you sense this lock will soon guard more than just Amun's home. As you linger, the workshop's warmth wraps around you like a blanket. The Nile's distant murmur mixes with the scrape of Amun's chisel, a soothing rhythm that pulls you deeper into this moment. You wonder how this invention will shape daily life. Will it make thieves safer or just spark a race between locksmiths and thieves? For now, Amun's focused on perfecting his craft, unaware that his idea will echo through centuries. You glance at the half-carved bolt on his workbench, a rough prototype of security's future, and feel a quiet thrill. This small piece of wood is about to change the world, one door at a time.
You're wandering the narrow streets of Thebes, the morning sun baking the mud brick walls as you dodge a donkey cart piled with reeds. The city hums with life. Children chase each other, merchants shout about their wares, and the faint clink of Amun's chisel still echoes in your mind from his workshop. You're curious now, wanting to see how his wooden pin lock, that clunky but clever invention, is changing life for families like his. You pause outside a stone house, not unlike Amun's, where a woman slides a heavy cedar door shut and secures it with a lock just like his. The satisfying click of the pins dropping feels like a small victory, a shield against the chaos of the world outside. This lock, born around 2000 BCE, is reshaping daily routines in Thebes, a fact historians point to as a turning point in ancient urban life. With doors now truly secure, people like Merritt, Amun's wife, can leave home without posting a guard or praying to Anubis for protection. You watch a man, maybe a scribe, lock his door and head to the temple, his key dangling from a cord around his neck. A quirky tidbit, some Thebans tied their keys to their belts with colorful linen strips, turning a practical tool into a fashion statement, ancient flexing at its finest. Historians still argue whether locks fostered trust or suspicion, as neighbors no longer needed to watch each other's homes, but might now eye each other warily, wondering who could afford such a device. You slip into the marketplace, where the lock's impact ripples. A potter at his stall, his goods safe at home, haggles with a trader over a sack of emmer wheat. Before locks, he'd have left his wife or son to guard the house, losing a day's work. Now he's here, joking about how his new lock is heavier than his potter's wheel. You grin. Ancient tech complaints sound awfully familiar. The lock's giving people freedom to move, to trade, to live without constant fear of theft. But it's not all rosy. You overhear a grumbling merchant muttering about locksmiths, charging a fortune for these newfangled devices. Supply and demand were as real then as now, and you can't help but chuckle at the thought of ancient price gouging. As you weave through the crowd, you notice something else. Not every house has a lock. The poorer homes, made of mud and straw, still rely on rope or prayer. The lock is a luxury, a divider between the haves and the have-nots. You imagine a thief casing a locked stone house, then slinking to an easier target nearby. The lock's protection comes with a cost, and you sense a new tension in Thebes' social fabric. Yet for those who have them, locks are a game changer. You pass a woman locking her door, her kids playing nearby, unafraid. She tucks the key into her shawl, and you feel her confidence, her trust in Amun's invention. The day fades, and you find yourself back near Amun's house, the Nile glinting under the setting sun. The city is settling down, doors closing, locks clicking into place. The sound's becoming familiar, a new rhythm in Thebes' nights. You think back to that crocodile dung sunscreen you heard about in another tale. Ancient solutions were wild, but this lock feels different, practical, enduring. It's not just about keeping thieves out, it's about letting people live more fully, trusting their homes are safe. As you linger, the stars emerge, and you wonder how far this invention will spread, how it'll evolve. For now, Thebes sleeps a little sounder, and you're ready to see where this lock's story goes next.
You're no longer in Thebes, but in a bustling Roman city. Centuries later, around the 1st century CE, the air's thick with the scent of olive oil and fresh-baked bread, and the streets clatter with cartwheels and sandals slapping stone. You're standing outside a blacksmith's forge, where the clang of hammer on metal rings out, sharp and rhythmic. The wooden pin lock you saw Amun craft back in Egypt has traveled through time, evolving into something tougher, shinier, and far more intricate. Here, in the heart of Rome, locksmiths are forging metal locks, their designs a leap beyond the cedar bolts of Thebes. You lean closer, feeling the forge's heat, as a smith shapes a key with teeth like a tiny iron comb. This shift to metal locks, starting around the 1st century, is a historical milestone, with Roman craftsmen refining Egypt's pin and bolt system into something sturdier. Iron and bronze replace wood, making locks resistant to weathering and brute force. You watch the smith test a lock, its tumblers clicking as he slides in a warded key, a design so clever it's still echoed in modern locks. A quirky tidbit, some Roman keys were worn as rings, small enough to slip onto a finger, blending security with swagger. Historians still argue whether these metal locks were common in homes or mostly guarded elite villas and temples, given the cost of skilled metalwork. You follow the smith as he delivers a lock to a merchant's domus, a sprawling house with mosaic floors and a heavy oak door. The merchant, a portly man in a toga, grins as the lock's installed, joking that it'll keep his wine store safe from his own sneaky slaves. You chuckle. Roman humor hits different, but it's relatable. The lock's mechanism is a marvel. Wards inside block the wrong key, ensuring only the right one turns. It's a far cry from Amun's clunky wooden pins, and you can't help but marvel at how Rome's taken Egypt's idea and run with it. This lock's not just about safety, it's about precision, a testament to Roman engineering. As you wander the city, you notice locks everywhere, on shop doors, warehouse gates, even public baths where people secure their clothes. The metal clinks and grates, a new soundtrack to Roman life. But it's not foolproof. You overhear a grizzled soldier muttering about thieves picking locks with bent wires, an early hint at the cat-and-mouse game between locksmiths and criminals. You smirk, thinking of Amun's simple wooden bolt. Would he be proud or horrified at this arms race? The lock's spread has changed daily life, letting merchants sleep easier and travelers secure their belongings. But it's also sparked new skills, like lockpicking, that keep Rome on edge. The sun dips, casting long shadows over the forum, and you pause by a temple, its bronze doors gleaming with a massive lock. The priest nearby adjusts his robe,
the keyring on his finger glinting. You think back to Thebes, to that lotus-carved key Merit carried, and feel a thread connecting these worlds. Rome's metal locks are stronger, sleeker, but they owe their existence to Egypt's spark of genius. The city hums around you, alive with trade and ambition, and you sense the lock's story isn't done evolving. As torches light the streets, you're ready to see how this invention shapes power and privilege in the ancient world.
You're still in Rome, the city's pulse thrumming as you weave through its crowded streets, the scent of roasting meat and incense curling around you. The clank of metal locks echoes from doorways, a reminder of the iron and bronze mechanisms that have replaced Egypt's wooden bolts. But now, you're noticing something deeper. Locks aren't just about keeping thieves out. They're about power, status, and who gets to feel secure. You pause outside a grand villa, its heavy doors fitted with an ornate bronze lock that gleams like a boast. The owner, a senator in a crisp toga, slips a key ring off his finger, and you realize, in Rome, a lock is more than a tool, it's a symbol. Historically, locks in the ancient world, especially Rome's metal ones from the 1st century CE, marked a divide between the powerful and the powerless. Only the wealthy could afford intricate locks for their homes, storehouses, or private shrines. You watch the senator stride past a cluster of tenements, their flimsy doors secured with nothing but rope. The contrast hits hard. Locks are for those who have something worth stealing. A quirky tidbit, some rich Romans had locks engraved with their family crests, turning security into a status flex, like a designer logo on a modern safe. Historians still argue whether locks deepened social inequality or simply reflected it, since only the elite could commission such craftsmanship. You slip into a bustling forum, where merchants lock their stalls with smaller, but still costly iron padlocks. One trader, securing his spice crates, jokes that his lock's worth more than the goods inside. You grin. Ancient flexing never gets old. But his words hint at a truth. Locks are power. They let the wealthy control access, whether to their homes, their wealth, or even their secrets. You imagine a slave denied a key, waiting outside a locked storehouse, unable to access the grain inside. The lock doesn't just guard property, it enforces hierarchy, deciding who's in and who's out. As you wander, you notice locks on more than just doors. A temple's offering box is secured with a warded lock, ensuring only priests can touch the gold within. A noblewoman locks a cedar chest holding her jewelry, her key tucked into a fold of her stola. Even public archives, stuffed with scrolls or bolted shut, their contents safe from prying eyes. You smirk, thinking of Amun's simple wooden rock back in Thebes, his inventions grown into a tool of control, shaping who gets to keep secrets in this sprawling empire. But it's not all high and mighty. You overhear a locksmith grumbling about a client who lost his key ring in a bathhouse, proving even Romans had their "where'd I put my keys" moments. The sun sinks, painting the city gold, and you linger by the Tiber, its waters reflecting torchlight. The click of locks blends with the evening's hum, a sound of order in Rome's chaos. You think back to Merit in Thebes, her lotus-carved key, a quiet source of freedom. Here, locks are less about freedom and more about exclusion, a line drawn between the haves and the have-nots. Yet there's still Amun's legacy, his idea forged anew in iron and bronze. As the city settles, you wonder how this invention will carry forward, what it'll mean for the future. The stars are out now, and you're ready to trace the lock's lasting impact. You're standing at the edge of time, the bustle of Rome fading into a soft blur as you gaze across centuries, the click of locks still echoing in your ears. From Amun's wooden bolt in Thebes to Rome's gleaming bronze wards, the lock has woven itself into the fabric of human life, a quiet guardian of homes and secrets. Now you're tracing its legacy, how a simple idea from 2000 BCE became the backbone of security for millennia. The air feels lighter, the stars above brighter, as you wander through a mental map of history, connecting Egypt's ingenuity to the world you know today. It's a long journey, but every click of a lock
carries Amun's spark. The historical truth is clear. Egypt's pin lock, born around 2000 BCE, is the ancestor of every modern deadbolt, a fact locksmiths and historians alike trace back to Thebes. Its design, pins and a key to move them, set the template for security that's still in use, from medieval castles to your front door. A quirky tidbit, early Egyptian locks were sometimes buried with their owners, as if to secure their tombs from otherworldly thieves. Talk about taking it to the grave. Historians still argue whether the lock's spread was driven by trade or conquest, as its design popped up in Mesopotamia and Greece, carried by merchants or soldiers. You imagine a medieval village, its wooden gates bolted with iron locks inspired by Rome's designs. A blacksmith, not unlike Amun, hammers out a key, joking that it's his ticket to the Lord's good graces. You smile. Craftsmen haven't lost their knack for bragging. These locks gave people control, letting them safeguard homes, churches, and treasure chests. But they also sparked a shadow game. You picture a thief in a moonlit alley, fiddling with a lockpick, proving that every lock births a new kind of criminal. The race between security and cunning, started in Thebes, never really ends. Now, fast forward to a colonial town, maybe 1700s London, where locks are intricate, with levers and wards that make Roman keys look childish. You see a shopkeeper locking his door, his key a filigreed masterpiece. The lock's no longer just for the elite. It's in every home, a symbol of a world where privacy matters. You think back to Meret in Thebes, her lotus-carved key a quiet revolution, and see her legacy in every door that shuts with a satisfying thud. The lock's journey feels personal now, tying ancient nights to your own, where you turn a key and trust your world is safe. As the centuries blur, you linger on the modern world. Your own door, with its sleek deadbolt, owes everything to Amun's chisel and Rome's forge. The principle hasn't changed. Pins, tumblers, a key to align them. You chuckle, imagining Amun's face if he saw your car's remote fob. Same idea, fancier package. The lock's legacy is endurance, a simple solution that's outlasted empires, adapted to every age, and still guards your sleep. The world grows quieter now, the stars softening overhead as you sink deeper into the story's end. Your eyelids feel heavy, the hum of history like a gentle lullaby. The lock, born in a dusty Thebes workshop, has carried you through time, from wooden pins to iron wards to the key in your pocket. It's a small thing, but it holds the world together, letting you rest without fear. Picture Amun's door, Meret's smile, the senator's key ring. They're all with you, whispering safety across millennia. The Nile's murmur fades, replaced by a soft breeze, and you're drifting, secure in the knowledge that some ideas, like a good lock, never break. Let the night take you now, wrapped in the calm of a world made safer by a craftsman's dream.